not gonna lie, this shit was some good exercise. Like, it's good to get out, get the pen working.
Yo.
What's good, creamers?
Yo.
Creamers.
Yo. Aiden, do the thing.
What's good, creamers?
What's good, creamers? It has been far too long. You heard it. We got a new little intro song. You've seen it. We got a new logo, but it's the same duo. We're back. The much awaited return, I'm sure, of the Half and Half podcast for episode 170. We weren't going to end on 169, and we're certainly not planning to end on episode 170. As always, I'm Vasanth Ramdas, joined by my victorious co-host, Aiden Mangan. How you doing, bud?
Doing good. I think that we do have to address something right away, which is that this is the first Half and Half podcast episode since Vasanth got engaged.
Is
So, yeah, it is.
Oh, wow. Yeah, a lot has changed since we've been gone. I got engaged. Aiden is in a relationship. Luca's a Laker. Elon Musk is the president. It's been a real
it's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while, a few months, I guess. I mean, I
you
think
stop
for,
making
like,
a podcast. You stop making a podcast, and the world just falls apart. You know,
No, exactly.
I mean,
Yeah. No, that's quite literally what happened, I guess. Outside like the engagement and the relationship stuff, don't, don't throw that the world falling apart. No, yeah, but really what happened here was like Vasanth was like, "Oh no, I'm engaged now. I don't want to do this show anymore." I'm just like I just like it's such a like the musings of a younger man now, and I'm just like, that's just not who I am anymore. And then eventually he was like, "You know what? I don't love the woman I'm going to marry. I love the creamers, and I need to get back to that."
I love the podcast grind.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, no, it is weird to think about how different like our lives were, but also how different the world was when we last recorded this show.
Hmm. Yeah.
Unfortunately for Aiden, and depending on your fandom, many listeners, the Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Yesterday, we're recording this on a Saturday, was the Eagles Super Bowl parade. How did you hold up? Were you okay?
But
Did you
how
take
did I hold
shelter?
up? I went to work like an adult.
Dude,
I did my job. Yeah,
you
sorry.
no.
Yeah.
I respect that. I also was trying to do my job, but since I work remote and my apartment is
Oh,
not where the
geez.
parade
Yeah.
was, but is in the vicinity of Center City, obviously, is in Center City. Like
Yeah.
it was just people on the street who were heading to the parade were just mad loud. So it was
Hmm.
really hard to focus on getting anything done, honestly.
No, I
Um,
believe it.
but yeah, so like, yeah, see a lot of like I said, a lot of good things happen, right? Like I got
Hmm.
engaged, you're in a relationship, bad things happened, the state of our government, the Eagles won a Super Bowl, Luca's a Laker, just a lot of like really world altering things. But we're back to talk about not all of those things, but
Yeah.
going forward, we can now give our much needed input on these
You
earth
know,
shattering events.
after you told Elisa that this hiatus was coming to an end, did you have like that like Skip Bayless Ernestine conversation where you were like,
My
you will
job comes.
always, yeah, exactly. My job comes first. The Half and Half podcast will always come first. You have to be okay with second place if you're
Yeah, and
with
then she
me.
parlays that into writing a book about how I'm in love with the podcast game more than any human being.
Did Ernestine write a book about Skip?
Yeah, she did something like that.
Really? Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know
also,
about that.
it's crazy. You bring up Skip Bayless while we were on hiatus. He's in a lawsuit for sexual harassment.
Yeah, he
And he
tried
got
to
let
allege
go by Fox
by Fox,
FS1,
yeah.
right? Undisputed is no more.
Yeah, he allegedly tried to pay someone like $1 million to sleep with him.
Yeah,
Um,
someone who worked at the company, right? I think like
yeah, that
like a makeup and hair individual
makeup
who
and hair
kept
person,
saying
yeah.
no, and he kept
Yeah.
being weird about it. So
The funniest things from like none of that is really funny, like what happened to the lady. But the one funny thing that came from that lawsuit is that specifically calls out Colin Cowherd, not for being a bad person, but for being a wonderful person to work with and a joy in the workplace.
Yeah, because it's a lawsuit against like FS1 in general,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And so like Skip Bayless is named in there for being a creep. I think one of the like big wig exec types is named in
yeah.
there.
He's in
Joey
there.
Taylor's named in there for being kind of shitty. And
Emmanuel
then
Acho, people like
uh,
that. Like,
yeah, and then
yeah.
Colin Coward's in there, just like he's cool.
Yeah,
He's
they're just like
dope.
he's really nice. Like you guys got to understand. He's like you got to meet Colin. Like let me tell you.
That is like a weird rep that like it's interesting that he has because he's also a bit of a hot take merchant, of course, as many of the
Oh,
big
of course he is. Yeah.
talking heads are. But he's apparently like
Hey,
quite
hey,
chill
hey,
in person.
LeBron,
We're
we're
good.
good.
We have
Ben
Ben
Simmons is
Simmons.
here.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
no, he's yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where he's got an empty head but a heart of gold, and like that's
Well, he
like
also
I'm ha
knows the
like
game he's playing, I'm sure, with the
oh, I'm
takes
sure
and
he
all that
does.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But even recently, he came like the he was doing an interview and he revealed he was moving back from LA to he was moving from LA to Chicago. You want to know why?
Hmm.
To be closer to his wife's family. Just like
Interesting.
just seems like a nice guy,
Yeah, that's such a like I was expecting you to say some like career thing, not just like a personal family
No, just a
reason.
personal family reason. Just seems like a nice guy. Just.
Just love Ben Simmons a little too much.
Just a good family man. That's all. Yeah,
Yeah.
just love Ben Simmons too much.
Yeah.
Um,
We will
yeah.
say we weren't
Mhm.
gone because we were named in any lawsuit. We are not in any legal trouble. We didn't
Yeah, we're chilling
disappear.
right now.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
chilling. Yeah, I guess like just like a distant father figure. We can't just come back and act like everything's cool, I suppose. But
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe we can.
maybe we can. I mean, I will
Yeah.
just. I mean, honestly, there's not like some like really interesting or even like harrowing reason we were gone for so long. I mean, a lot of stuff just kind of happened at once. Like I got engaged, and there was like some trips, travel. Like I think our last episode was like we were getting in that like it was in October, right? But holidays coming up, obviously, and then
We were approaching Halloween, like yeah, things like
yeah,
that.
so things got busy, obviously, and ultimately we love doing this show, obviously, but it's a thing we both do as like a hobby, right? And so unfortunately, as much as we love you, creamers, other things just take priority sometimes. But then also like I'll speak, from my perspective. I was feeling a bit like I wouldn't say like I was feeling a bit like creatively like kind of bankrupt. I don't know if bankrupt's a word, but just like I didn't have the juice, to keep making the show in the sense that like I felt like, it just felt like to me at least, maybe in talking about me as a co-host of this, I felt like I wasn't bringing my A game as much. I felt like I was coasting in some of our like more recent episodes. I just didn't feel like I was hitting on all cylinders. I felt like the show was also kind of like hitting like a rut, and like obviously we're not like the most innovative show out there, redefining the media landscape. But we always like we like to upgrade and add little flourishes and change things up a little bit. And I think it had been a while since we'd like kind of maybe tried to like do stuff. And part of that is just because like we're both busy. I've been busy. And then I think I'll give him a big shout out, and I'm sure he is one such happy person about the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. But Jason did our holiday special episode, which got delayed a bunch just because like I said, I kind of had that like lack of creative juice, burnout. But the episode eventually came out. But when we recorded it, if you did listen to that Aiden Cinephile, the holiday special, and even off, off air, as it were, he's pretty like adamant about us like getting back on the horse and like uploading stuff more consistently again, and not just Aiden Cinephiles and like releasing more of those, but even just the show in general. And I think that kind of was like a nice like kick to be like, like regardless of what this is, a hobby, and if it just remains a hobby or if it becomes a hobby that like expands into something bigger, we owe it to ourselves to like be on top of this and do it well. Like I like doing things for fun, but I also like doing them to the best of my ability. So I think, I got to give him credit. At least for me, it was like a nice just to have that conversation with someone else because I think I'd gotten in my own head about where the show had been. So, you know, uh, I told Aiden like I was upfront with him because like I know I hadn't been holding up my end of the deal. the usual like album review type stuff, like kind of the year, like, the new year. Let's talk about some of the stuff from last year and then we'll move into the new year. I said maybe this year we might forego it, but let me go ahead and do like, let me rebrand some things. Let me come up with some ideas. And so with that, we've got a new look for the show. I've got some more. We're also now on more than just Spotify as an audio platform. I finally got us on Apple Podcasts and the YouTube channel, which does exist. I do plan on like trying to put the audio from the episodes up there as well to provide a third avenue for listening, but also doing more stuff with the channel as well. I have some ideas. Aiden and I are, gonna work that out in the background. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it well, not because I'm not doing it with like the idea like I'm doing this because I want to make money off this. Doing it well because we owe it to ourselves. Like this is a thing we've been doing for so long. Why not do it to the best of our ability? We owe it to ourselves and also to you guys who've, stuck around and listened. We appreciate you choosing to spend any amount of time with us. So putting out better content, putting it out more consistently, and putting out maybe additional stuff that you can sink your teeth into, metaphorically, would be nice. So that's my whole spiel. We're back, and I like to think we're back and we're better, and we're going to continue getting better, and we're not going to just disappear on you like that again. I think we had an episode where we talked about if the show was going to end, we would at least have the decency to let you know. So that's still true. If the show decides, if at some point this comes to an end, we're not just going to pod fade out of existence. So, yeah, that's my spiel. Took up like 3 minutes there.
Ooh.
But
It's okay. I was on vocal rest during that, so
no, there you go. Yeah, it's been a while. You don't want to like
Yeah.
pull a cord getting back into the podcast game.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, pretty much what Hassan said. I'm happy to be back though. So let's make some magic, right?
Yeah, keep brew some creamer joy. But with all that said, while we were gone, we missed a lot of things. Like I said, like an absent
Yes.
father, we missed some birthday parties, some middle school graduations, but we had to at least come back for the big one, the high school graduation, the big bang, maybe college graduation. I don't know how long we were gone in this metaphor, but talked about the Super Bowl. The Eagles won the Super Bowl, and we were, we something else happened at the Super Bowl, right? And similar to that man, maybe we disappeared to our New York apartment. We were working on our pen game, ordering some pizza, but sometimes you just got to pop out and show them. Kendrick Lamar certainly did. So we'd be remiss, the show that talks about hip hop and music. We talked about the beef. That was like a 3 hour episode, and then a lot of stuff happened with the beef after we went AWOL.
Yeah, yeah.
So we at least owe it to the artistry, the hip, one of the biggest hip hop beefs and battles that we've had, maybe ever, definitely in the modern era, to at least talk about what feels like a real final punch in the Super Bowl halftime show that Kendrick Lamar put on. I guess we'll just open. Hayden, did it live up to expectations? Was it what you wanted? You're the big. I mean, we're both K-Dot fans, but that's your guy. That's your goat. You're pouring
Yeah.
honey on him. That's your Pookie Bear.
My one complaint about it, I wanted it to be more uncomfortable than it was.
You wanted to meet the Grams.
I wanted him to go out there and just be like an absolute sicko, to an extent.
Mhm.
But no, I thought it was a really great halftime show. I loved it. I thought the song choices were great. I think that anyone that was like, why isn't he playing the hits? I'm like, do you guys realize how massive GNX has been?
I
Like,
saw he's
yeah.
hit, I think, 95 million monthly listeners on
Yeah, let me check his-
Spotify.
Yeah,
Pushing. Go ahead.
he's the first rapper to ever hit 95 million.
He's pushing for that 100 million mark, which would also, he'd be the first to do that. And I saw that they're reporting that GNX might go #1 on Billboard again for albums after the
Yeah,
halftime show. The halftime show
Kendrick-
bumped up a lot of the songs, which were already doing well on the charts. Like I know, like TV Off, Luther, Squabble Up were all sitting in pretty decent chart positions.
Kendrick Lamar suddenly has 96 million monthly listeners and is the fifth highest in the world on Spotify. That is a
Insane.
sentence that even throughout the course of the beef, there's no world where I thought that would be possible.
His
It
biggest
is,
weakness, if you wanted to call it that, in like the big three discourse was like he was not as commercially viable as Drake, right? Like if you were doing
yeah.
Drake head to head, some some delusional people from certain parts of North Carolina would argue, even with Cole, that Kendrick's commercial viability wasn't as strong.
Mhm.
This has completely erased any notion of that. I mean, this is
It is
he has flipped this into one of the
so
biggest
funny.
W's of all time. I mean,
It is so funny that he did this. And I was gonna say Drake, and we'll see like where things fall because Drake just released an album, is currently sitting at 76 million, about 20 million less, 13th in the world. Still 13th in the world, that's nothing to sneeze at. But I don't know, man. Like I think I don't I think that we talk about like the biggest like wins and losses and like rap beefs and everything, and like Adidon obviously is a big one,
that didn't
like the
generate
sort
that
of
much of a back and forth, I guess, is the thing, right? That was, and Pusha
no,
T,
because
one of my
yeah,
favorites, but like not as
yeah,
big as Kendrick either. So the responses from Drake continue to just stay subliminal, showing up on
yeah,
a Travis Scott song here and there saying, if you come to Paris, I'll like get some goons to kill you type stuff, the
yeah,
usual
yeah, just some
Drake tough guy
usual,
act. Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know if this is like the worst loss anyone's taken in a. It might be because there's one of the biggest songs of the decade is going to be about calling this man a pedophile.
Song that won 5 Grammys. I
Yeah, it won
think
five
tied for
Grammys.
most or most of any rap song at a Grammy ever.
I think tied for I think most or tied whatever, but yeah, like and those Grammys included song and record of the year.
So what it gets
And
the field, not just,
yeah,
like
not just
in
the
a
hip
like
hop
a
awards, the whole
genre
thing.
field. Yeah.
Yeah. And he made an album after it, and it was incredibly like successful commercially and critically. Probably is like enjoying more critical success than anything Drake has put out since like Take Care. Um, and is enjoying commercial success that Drake would usually see. And possibly even more. There are multiple songs on that album that are like legitimate top 10 hits. I mean, not like just doing well for a week, like legitimately hanging out
They've
in
been
like the
sticking
top
around.
10. Like, yeah.
He was about to embark on a massive arena tour that could
Yep.
also like, rank fairly highly when you look at like musical artists touring,
Hmm.
tours, like profit, ticket sales, etc. Yeah, it's interesting as a guy who like weirdly was like pigeonholed as like just being artsy, even though I thought part of one of the really cool things about him was that Kendrick was able to be very thoughtful and introspective and interesting while also being like a very commercially viable artist. I think I saw like a clip from a T-Pain live stream where he said something that's crazy about Kendrick is that like a lot of artists, right? You have to like lead with singles, right? Like there's songs that are singles. Those are the songs that you perform that you use. But Kendrick's at a place where like there's album cuts that are charting, that are getting played at these type of events that aren't the lead single for anything. Hell, he's not doing lead singles. Like GNX was a surprise drop, right? I mean, he's always sat at like an interesting place, cross between like I mean, arguably you don't have to trade these things off, but you kind of do, right? Of like artistry and commercial viability. And he always sat at like a cross section of that, but he's like maximized that incredibly so, um with what he did with the beef and then following it up with GNX. It's truly like an incredible, like it's somehow he somehow elevated what I already thought was like a very good, impressive all-timer hip hop legacy.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, now
what's
like
anything?
it's
Yeah,
I think like the fact that Kendrick very much views himself as like taking like the torch from Tupac in a lot of ways.
yeah, a real student of the
Um
game type deal.
yeah, and like trying to like basically put the West Coast on similar to how Tupac was and everything. And I
Hmm.
think the commercial success that he is seeing now too is like very much price solidifying for him as well that like oh yeah, he is
like Tupac, as in TWO Pac, you know? Like he is
It's the
like
sequel.
yeah, he's getting the acclaim. Yeah, he's getting the acclaim. He's getting the hits. He won his rap beef, similar with like how Kendrick took on Drake, similar to how Pac took on Biggie, you know?
That one was definitely a
Um
more even beef.
yeah, the Pac and Biggie one was more even, but then again, I don't think that I think Pac
Also
won that
ended
one. Like
worse.
hit yes, ended worse, but also like Hit 'Em Up is still one of the greatest diss tracks
Oh,
ever.
it's arguably still the greatest. I mean,
Yeah,
him and
it's
Biggie back to
incredible.
back.
It's
It's a
incredible.
pantheon diss track.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um
and I'll also say, talk about commercial success. Now, granted, this has been a trend with the NFL Super Bowl halftime shows. They've actually like every subsequent one since I think like the Rihanna one, maybe even going back a little further,
yeah.
like the Dre one, etc. I think they've set records as like the most viewed one,
No,
live.
that's not quite true because Michael Jackson had the record for the longest time.
Oh.
Yeah, Michael Jackson back
Well,
in like
apparently
which
Usher had the record
it,
after last year. Fun fact. Which
that well
shout out
that's
Usher.
yeah, shouts out Usher for that.
It's a good halftime. It was a good
Um
halftime show. We'll talk about that more later, actually. Teaser, teaser. But Kendrick has the record now for most viewed halftime show with a peak viewership of 137.7 million average viewers, which is insane. And not to mention, it's gonna rack up a bunch of YouTube views. I think right now Dre's halftime show is the most viewed YouTube like video for the halftime show,
yeah.
but this could very well like be up there or catch it. We'll see. But talking about like commercial success, like this halftime show was like an event. Like they
Yeah,
usually they can
he's
be the best halftime shows in history feel like events, but this one felt like appointment viewing for a lot of people, and especially stood out when obviously Eagles fans are screaming "Fly Eagles Fly." The game sucked,
yeah, oh, the
right?
game was awful. Yeah, that game was
Yeah. So
terrible.
like the show even stands more, you know, alone and when it's like, surrounded by a game that just wasn't very competitive because one team beat the shit out of the other one.
Yeah, yeah. I think I like your best of both worlds situation is like probably like the Dre halftime show because that was a good game with like a great halftime show in the middle of it. But
Even
yeah, no,
Rihanna
that
with the
was
first Chiefs Eagles matchup, which was very back and forth as a
yeah,
game.
and hers was good. Yeah, hers was good. And we're gonna
Mhm.
get into this later, actually. Like, but yeah, but like the thing that I found so impressive with Kendrick too, though, about his like halftime show is that I think he did something that like not a lot of halftime shows do, which is like he actually tried to like tell a story within it, you know? A
That was
lot
a
of
priority
halftime
for
shows are
him going into it.
yes,
He's quoted as saying
yes,
as much that he wanted to like make people think, and there was a whole narrative that he was trying to tell, which
yeah.
makes it an interesting halftime show because I did hear that in the arena it was kind of like a weird viewing experience,
Oh, I'm sure it was, yeah.
and
Well,
not the
yeah, because
best.
I think every halftime show now is made for TV. Like they don't particularly think about the arena view of it.
Yeah, they've stopped being like these big concerts and more being like these like extended music video. Like they look real
Yeah,
good as YouTube videos, as broadcast. So I think he that was clearly a focus for him was like this is going to be a story. You can watch this whole video end to end and there's a narrative through line to follow. Also, some people said the mixing wasn't great on our end because we watched it together, the game and the show. It was fine, but that's not, I think that's
yeah.
just like an NFL halftime show issue. There's numerous halftime shows that have had mixing issues. And
I like a lot. I like that a lot of white people are like, I couldn't understand what he was saying. It's like, oh no, don't do this again.
yeah, the funniest was uh, NFL, young NFL influencer Matthew Sponhour. He was like saying that, but then he was like on the podcast. He was like, it was so difficult because I had to stress that it's because the audio levels were really fucked up on my broadcast, not because I couldn't understand him.
That's funny. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think yeah, the storytelling aspect is incredible. Using Samuel L. Jackson as sort of this like a
Well,
very
just an Uncle
useful
Sam
narrative
stand-in.
character.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that
like essentially
it was
representing the voice of the people. A lot of the people who don't like the halftime show, they are the Uncle Sam character. They don't realize it, but they
Yeah, well,
are.
that's the thing is like it's a very it was a very like well done but like very accessible message too.
Mhm.
Like you can like if you stop and think for a moment, like you can figure it out. You don't even need to particular stop. I mean, he's quite literally having like Samuel L. Jackson like just explain it to you. Again, he's the whole thing with like at the beginning he's like, trying to remember everything he said. Like the Great American Game, and then when Kendrick starts doing things that are a bit out of line for what he thinks, he's like, you have to tighten it up. And then
That's when he does
when
like
he
Humble and DNA
yeah,
and
and then later he does Man at the Garden, and he has like a group of black singers behind him, black singers and dancers.
on the
And
street corner,
then
right?
on the street corner, and then he goes, because the whole thing was in like this video game, like PlayStation style stage. Samuel of going, you brought your homeboys with you, and it's like deduct one life, and he's basically saying like you're gonna get punished for basically being so much of what Kendrick is, being the Great American Game will punish you for bringing those that you grew up with you. Will punish you for being black in America. Will punish you for all these different things that Kendrick represents. Um, Punish you from being from Compton, even.
Yeah.
Uh, and and then after that, they transitioned into doing like the lighter songs with
SZA.
Luther and All the Stars with
SZA, by
SZA.
the way, crushes her performance. I know
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
like some talk of it like recorded or like was it all recorded? Was it mixed? Whatever. I thought she did a great job. She looked great. She's also going to be
yeah,
touring with him, so I think it's really great that she was a part of this performance. And frankly, like when we talk about artists who've got really great like chemistry on songs together, Kendrick and SZA just incredibly have just some of the best chemistry you'll find between two artists
yeah.
on a song.
I don't think Drake and her are ever gonna collab again, by the way.
I think would it be as good anyway? Slime You
No,
Out
they
was a
wouldn't be, but
very sleepy song anyway.
after the beef and her performing and doing a tour with him, I think Drake is gonna be like, no, I hate you now.
Drake loves to hate woman, so
Oh my God, he does, dude. He's so ridiculous. You see what he posted about like Serena's tennis trainer or whatever, or
yeah,
like
yeah. He had
manager or
smoke for
whatever.
everyone except for Kendrick after the
Yeah,
halftime
he's got he's
show.
got he's got smoke for about every woman involved in this. It's amazing, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, he does the stuff with. And then there's like they tease Not Like Us, right, and all that, right? And like when
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson's
Yeah.
like, don't fuck it up, don't do it,
Yeah.
and
Well,
then
so
like
that's
yeah,
what Kendrick says too, like that I want to play their favorite song, but they love to sue, which was
Sue.
hilarious.
There's a
That
lot
was
of like
hilarious.
sitcom-esque comedy in the show where he just
Mhm.
stares at the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
Real like Jim in
That
the Office type stuff,
well,
I'm
the
sure.
funniest moment is still just him going, "Say Drake," and just smiling so
It's the
widely.
evilest thing I've ever
It
seen.
is so evil. Oh my God. Just the
Yeah.
"Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young."
Yeah. But yeah, before the Not Like Us song kicks in, right? Samuel L. Jackson's like, you're almost done. It's almost over. And then he's like, he hears the beat and he's like, ah, shit, or whatever. And yeah, Kendrick does like he does like a little like kind of like, I mean, it's not freestyle. I'm sure it's like written, but like he does like a little like verse before the song kind of deal,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like, 40 acres and a mule. This is bigger than the music
Are they
type
really
stuff.
gonna do it? Yeah.
And
That
then,
that
man,
intro he had, that
the way it comes
intro
to
he
where
had
it's like
Not Like
I'm
Us is
swerving, I'm
awesome.
sliding, and the beats just like banging, like
Yeah.
they're like
That
they're
was
holding it
awesome.
before it starts. It's yeah. He had a lot of great. There's a lot of great funny moments, like in Peekaboo when he just appears.
He does a peekaboo. He just pops up.
He doesn't
Peekaboo.
even say Peekaboo. Like the backing
The
track says
audio does it
Peekaboo, and
for
he
him. Yeah.
starts
Peekaboo just
rapping. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So there's like a lot of fun moments, but from a storytelling standpoint, Samuel L. Jackson essentially representing the like sort of corporate white America, the American institution viewership. And it's
Yeah.
hilarious because there's people saying the performance was like a lot of MAGA leader types have said the performance is too black, not my taste, too ghetto.
Mhm.
There's a
So
reason there's
I saw one guy just call it a DEI halftime show, which I found particularly funny because it's
DEI
like
has just become a stand-in
this.
for just like the N-word essentially for these
Oh,
people. But
literally, yeah. They literally just use that say it says saying the N-word now, but also like I feel like maybe I should censor myself, whatever, if I reference it. But no, the whole thing of like DI halftime show, I find that particularly funny too. Because the implication is like, oh, he doesn't deserve to be up here. It's
he
like
didn't earn it after having one of the biggest years a
literally
rapper could have.
he had quite
literally maybe the biggest year a rapper has like had since I don't know, Drake dropped like Scorpion or something or
It's
Views, you
like when
know?
Drake was at like his commercial peak or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, I mean, like it's ridiculous, and I mean, it's just funny that the message in the show is just being played out in real life.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot of
absolutely.
great visuals too. Like the show visually, I thought looked really. It was like simple, but also there was a lot of striking stuff. The American flag made of the black dancers, alluding to
Yeah.
America's built on black people, but also the flag is split, right? So
Yep.
there's like
Yep.
uh obviously we mentioned it, Serena crip walking to Not Like Us was
That was so
awesome
funny. That
because
was
she did
awesome.
that when she won one of her majors,
Wi-
one of her many
In
titles.
Wimbledon in 2020, and
There you go.
she
Fined.
was torched alive by the tennis community for crip
Yeah.
walking because it
It,
was too whatever adjective you want to put
they
in
they
there,
want to
you
say it
know?
was too black. They were like, this girl from
Exactly.
Compton is lucky to be playing tennis and should not be bringing her culture into our clean, pristine sport,
Mhm.
essentially.
She
And
did it in
also
front
like
of British people, so that's really what was.
that was really what got him off. And also Drake's like taking pot shot after pot shot at her, and they've got like
Yeah,
they had like a romance flirtation at some point that didn't go anywhere. So it's like it's cool to see her do that on a big stage like that because of the her professional career and doing the similar dance, but also it's very much like a Drake related thing. And
oh,
also Kendrick's
absolutely,
trying to
yeah,
bring up, his city, the West Coast. She's from Compton as well.
yep.
A lot of some of these references I'm pulling. A shout out to The Root. They did a really nice breakdown of some of the details in the halftime show, pointing out when he
Mhm.
was doing Man at the Garden and he's doing it kind of on a street corner, kind of symbolizing how he likes to, keep his people with him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
The group behind him is based out of Oakland. Apparently, it's a dance group.
Ah, okay,
So
got it. Yeah,
adds to the fact that he sort of really is, and he even on the if we go to GNX the album, right? There's stuff in Reincarnated when he's having the back and forth with God or the
yeah,
God figure, right? Where he talks about how he wants to use the music to like lift up and elevate and try not to focus so much on the war, which while
yeah,
he feels good about taking Drake out, there's like that part of him that's conflicted about it. So
yeah. What's that line again? It's like, "But you love," or "No, I don't." Yes, you do
yes,
something
you
like
do.
that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's trying
that's
to
one of the best
spread. I'm
moments
trying
on
to
the
push
album.
peace in LA, but you love war. No, I don't. Yes, you do. That
That's
thing,
one of the
right?
best
So
moments on the album. That's
it's
so good.
incredible. But I mean,
Yeah.
and then he talks in the end, he was like, he's trying to like use the music to build people up and, not live in fear. So like, it's cool to see that in just like who he's got at these halftime shows. And also people complaining about the lack of old hits or whatever. I forget if it was in the Timothy Chalamet, like little cool interview they did, or if it was in like the
Mhm.
Apple Music one he did before the show, like the day or two before. But he said he's trying to
Yeah.
like live in the moment with this stuff, right? And not like go back
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
past and kind of like live where he's at now. So yeah, he's not gonna do Good Kid, Mad City
Well,
or
what?
Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe because he doesn't feel like that's where he's at right now, and it fits the story he's trying to tell. He still pulled
And
out Humble and
maybe,
DNA because it
yeah,
worked all the
maybe you'll
stars.
see those. Maybe you'll see those on the tour. Maybe.
That's
But
true.
yeah. I think what I found like interesting about his set list too, though, was again, he didn't go back to do anything from like Good Kid or T-Pab or anything.
Hmm.
Um, I think that Kendrick very much chose a set list that like fans of him, like you and I, would be really excited about, you know? Like the
Yeah,
fact that he
like
did
if you've
man,
been bumping
it,
GNX,
yeah, the
right?
fact that he did Man at the Garden at the Super Bowl is one of the funniest things ever. Like that's
Yeah,
insane.
a really cool
Like
version of it, might I
yeah, oh yeah,
add.
yeah. And like it's Man at the Garden is a great song. I'm not like, but just like it is not like there is not a single moment that I thought it would actually be played at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And it's a
Um,
valid criticism. Like, honestly, it's a valid criticism
yeah,
that this performance was not very, like, Super Bowl halftimey, not very, like, arena performance. And that's true. It clearly isn't. It was clearly, like, this,
yeah,
like, storytelling effort. And he kind of knew the sacrifices that would have to be made. Like, the Man at the Garden sequence and the way they performed the songs with him, like, walking from set to set. It's
yeah,
performed, like, to the viewer watching to tell that
yeah,
story.
yeah,
It's not performed to the arena. It's not as much of a spectacle as
yeah,
a really great halftime show like the Dr. Dre one was, where that one was playing to the crowd very
yeah,
aggressively,
yeah.
right? which is
Yeah.
not a bad thing, by the way. It's a choice you make from a creative standpoint. And I'm happy he
Yeah.
committed to it. Man of the Garden is a crazy pull. And if we're being honest, it's a fun song, but Peekaboo, I wasn't expecting Peekaboo to
Peekaboo is
make
a
the cut
crazy pull
either.
too. Yeah, Peekaboo is like a nut. Like that's pretty nuts to do Peekaboo there.
Yeah, like Squabble
But
Up, TV Off makes sense off GNX,
yeah.
but I didn't and Luther because we knew SZA was going to be there, but the extent to which GNX is present, the way he uses like all the stars, Humble and DNA in the
Mhm.
story is like give the people what they want, but not too much of
Yeah.
what they want
Yeah.
is really nice and really well done. And I mean, that's not even getting into the whole video game stuff too. But
Yeah.
real quick, we're gonna take a beat because while we've made a lot of changes and upgrades, the Zoom gods still don't like us speaking. So we're gonna
Yeah.
take a beat. We'll wrap up our halftime discourse and talk a little bit about how Drake's moving as well. So we'll be right back. And we are back. So to wrapping up some of the halftime show thoughts, I did want to, and I'll pass this to you, touch a little bit on also like the whole like game theming of the show was
Mhm.
really cool, right? Like the video game buttons, stage sections. Samuel L.
Yeah.
Jackson, yeah, the Great American Game has a larger symbolic reference, not just the Super Bowl, and then obviously the way the show ends, but just how you thought that kind of tied into the whole thing, how you felt about sort of the use of that as kind of the story part of a big part of the storytelling device as he performed in different sections of the stage, the X button, the circle, triangle, square.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was cool. The whole idea of like again, the Great American Game, like you might I think it's clever to do that Super Bowl because you might consider the Super Bowl to be like the Great American Game, obviously.
Mm.
But in the context, what he was performing obviously is more referring to again, like basically trying to make it in America's like I overused thing, but to make it in society, essentially,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
trying to
it's
basically,
the game
re
of being black in
yeah,
America. I
and
mean,
trying to retain who you are during that too, to survive, or surviving while retaining who you are. But yeah, I mean, I thought like that whole metaphor is really cool. I found the whole usage of the game was great, including just like at the end of it when it just says game over.
when he
It's
says
just like
turn his
diabolical.
he like censors the turn his TV off with like the static sound, and then it
Yeah.
pops up in lights.
Yeah, game over. And that's like pretty much at like a song after he did not like us too. So it's just diabolical.
Yeah, it's not just
Um,
it's at Drake, but it's also kind of at everyone else where it's like,
yeah.
it's over, buddy. Like, don't
Yeah.
fuck with me because you saw
I
what happens.
I think I've said this. I may have said this before on the show, but it is hilarious to think about. Like, no one is ever going to come for Kendrick again.
Yeah, because he had the rep, right, as like the
Yeah,
boogeyman. You don't fuck with him because everyone has seen his ability. And Kendrick has like battle rap roots,
yeah,
which
yeah,
lend themselves really well in these type of back and forths. And he's gone at people. Like the control verse is very much like misrepresented as like a diss. It's more of like a call to competition.
yeah,
But
yeah,
in verses like that, or even like, like I think it's the Heart Part 4, like he's had like moments where he goes at someone.
yeah,
Who that is, obviously now retrospectively we're saying is all of those Drake. Obviously, I think historically people have thought those are Big Sean, etc. So he's always had the rep of being someone not to fuck with, but I think this really showcased that like it's not just from a lyrical standpoint, like from a
yeah.
strategy standpoint, from a commercial standpoint, he will fuck you up. I mean, it truly
I
felt like an anime villain at times, the way he was moving and the way he had planned out all of his moves here, and how quickly he did all of the stuff too.
yeah. I still think it's funny though how you go back to like the control verse and everything, and all the rappers he mentions that, like most of them wind up being like pretty like notable. I've brought this up on the show before, I think, but I still always love that he mentions just like Wale, who just like never really like he started really well, then he just never really panned out from
Yeah, Wale
there.
is good, but very much like regionally appreciated, especially in the DMV area. There's
Yeah.
some other interesting name drops on there, but
Yeah. Wait, who else does he name drop in that again? It's like he
we
mentions
can
Crit. Um,
yeah, Crit who had like has had some like standout projects, but
yeah.
I would never say really. I think Mac Miller gets a reference, ASAP Rocky
Yeah.
gets a reference. Let's see.
That's so funny,
But
like
yeah.
going at Mac Miller, like I need you to become a killer, Mac. Mac's
I need
probably
you to
like,
bar up,
what?
even though that's not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Jermaine, it's J. Cole, Big Crit, Wale, Pusha T, Meek Mill, who not no, ASAP Rocky, Drake, Big Sean, J Electron, never dropped, Tyler, Mac
Yeah.
Miller. So generally,
Okay.
all of those people, and a lot of people took it well. Like I know Pusha T in an interview said like Kendrick and him like met after like a show, and Kendrick was like, "Yo, I'm glad you took it well," and Pusha T was like, "Kendrick, I'm like you, I get it." Like it was it.
I,
You know
I
how
love
Pusha T
Pusha, man.
talks
He's so
sometimes,
funny.
where he seemed almost offended that Kendrick thought he wouldn't
Would
take it the
think that he
right
did.
way.
Yeah, would think that he wouldn't get it. Yeah, that's amazing.
But and then
Pusha's so
unfortunately
funny,
Drake
man.
takes it in a very poor way, but it's
Yeah.
neither here nor there. Shout out to FD Signifier, great YouTube video on the beef. He does a great job kind of laying out how that should have let us know what type of guy Drake was, not like us. But
Yeah. Yeah.
um, any other notes from the halftime show, though? I think we both say it's really good. It definitely is interesting as a halftime show because it's like a story, and I think it really works well as a broadcast show compared to like it's
Yeah.
not a traditional halftime show. I think that is fair to say in what it's going for. And I mean, we've seen a couple of these Apple TV or Apple Music Jay-Z led halftime shows be a little like more subdued, right? For the sake of trying to show something different.
Yeah.
Or, in the case of Rihanna, partially probably also based on the fact that she was pregnant when she did the performance. But any other thoughts on the halftime show from you? Obviously,
No,
big
I mean,
Kendrick fans, but
I loved it as a Kendrick fan. This was like, again, I joke around saying like I wish it was like more uncomfortable, but as a Kendrick fan, this is like all I could have wanted. And the fact that like I respect the fact of how much he like did the more recent parts of his catalog too. Um, because he's just like,
it really
what I
shows
was
how
like,
much he had something he wanted to say with that music in
yeah,
particular, right? Like
no,
he
exactly, yeah,
I will say, and I think you're kind of getting at it with the more uncomfortable, this show definitely like jabs at America and like the black experience in America and how people receive black art and performances. I mean, we're seeing it now with how some people have taken the halftime show. It's not like the
Yeah.
most revolutionary thing in the world. At the end of the day, we're talking about the like a bunch of corporate on corporate. It's like a corporate sandwich. It's the NFL, Super Bowl, Apple Music halftime show produced by Jay-Z. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's like a capitalist playground, but I do appreciate how much he's able to fit in like what's essentially kind of a limited space. Like he wasn't scared to jab at
Huh?
Drake, hit the A minor. He wasn't scared to like go with a storytelling approach, knowing that it would not only like probably like some people would be like, "Oh, you're not playing the hits. This doesn't feel like a halftime show," but also upset some people. It's become the new election question. Don't ask people who they voted for. Ask them how they feel about the halftime show. You might get the same results.
I was gonna
Um,
say you'll learn a lot, I think, about who they voted for.
that's not to say people can't like it, because, like I said, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's very much not like a lot of the other halftime shows. And if
Hmm.
that's not what you were, if that's not what you're looking for, that's a fair critique. It's like it's not the space that it's in is not really where it should be. That's a
Yeah.
fine point to have, but that's like a fair agree to disagree sort of deal. But also, we got to shout out Guy Squavera
Yeah,
used in the
yeah.
intro and outro,
Yeah. The
which
old
you
guard is
you
dead.
clocked. Yeah, Old Guard is
Well,
dead
no,
in
I didn't.
song.
I
So
didn't clock it live. I heard it. I saw him
take
posted
credit
about
for it, man. Who's
after.
gonna check you?
I'm not gonna take credit for that. I wish I could have clocked it live because I really like that song. But it
Oh,
whoever
song's hard. Whole
whoever
project's great.
whoever yeah whoever in Apple Music staff or like whoever in K-Dot's crew or whoever picked Geist for the opening and closing song for it. Shout out to them. I've kept track of it. The Old Guard is Dead has shot up to the top of like Geist's most popular tracks on Spotify.
Hell yeah, dude. The song rocks.
Yeah, so he's still got songs with like more streams in it, but like who knows, like it might wind up being like his biggest song current
Go
to
listen to
date, you
Go
know. So
Yard Ibn Saeed. I
Saeed,
hope I
yep,
said that right.
I think
Great
you did, yeah,
project. Old Guard is Dead is a great song. And what's crazy that how good is the project? It's not even my favorite song. That's how good the album is.
yeah, the album's really good. So
Um,
go take a listen to that.
um,
Philly local too. So
yeah, support the Philly
yeah,
locals. Philly, hey Philly, you feel like you want top right now? Support the local talent.
Yeah.
And the speaking of albums, we should talk about Drake. I mean, the halftime show obviously contains both subtle and just not so subtle, just
Yeah, yeah, just straight
bastard
up call outs. Yeah.
of Drake. We're not gonna get into the lawsuit stuff because that's been out there. If you don't know,
Yeah.
Drake is currently suing something that does need to be clarified. He's not suing Kendrick Lamar. He is suing UMG, who is his and Kendrick Lamar's like music distributor, record label.
Yeah.
Um, about like saying the song is like defamation and UMG knew it was defamation but still put it out there. There's a lot of inconsistencies in his logic if we're being honest because he
Yep.
also put out some stuff that was saying stuff about Kendrick,
Yeah,
but
he
we're
he
not
he he
here.
he quite literally claimed that Kendrick beat his wife. So like,
Yeah, and like his kid isn't his. Like I mean,
yeah,
so like but that's neither here nor there. If you want to get into the legalese, check out, we're not legal eagle, but
yeah.
what I do want to talk about is Drake and Party Next Door released like a collab project.
Hmm.
And let's be honest, we're not here to do a review of it. We haven't listened to it front to back or anything like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it the main reason it's making waves, obviously, it's a Drake project, collab or solo. Those are gonna, regardless of what the brand rep has taken after the beef, it's still gonna make some moves or generate some waves. Aiden, you made a good point earlier. How will it perform? We'll have to see. But he
Yeah,
talks about this
I'm not really
beef.
gonna I was gonna say because I'm a hater, I'm not really gonna listen to it until after the first week streaming numbers are in.
Respect, honestly.
I'm like, I'm not gonna add to that pile because if he doesn't open up with like number one or something, or if he like doesn't sell well comparatively to his previous stuff, I think that's gonna be kind of funny, honestly. So I'm gonna wait a week before I really get into it. I've heard like a song or two off of it though.
Yeah, and it's yeah, like so the main song from this that's like generating there's a couple songs where he talks about the beef. The main one is a song called Give Me a Hug or Gimme a Hug. I will say the album's called Some Sexy Songs for You. Drake, you're almost 40, man. Why are
Yeah,
you doing
please, man.
this? This is like kind of endearing and corny maybe for like someone in their 20s to release on Valentine's Day.
Hmm.
You're a little too old for this, man. But that's
Yeah.
just me. That's just me. That's just me. I'm just hating. I'm just hating. I'm just hating. Um, I will say this about Give Me a Hug. It's pretty good. Production standpoint, I think it's kind of awesome. There's like 3 beats. I think it's funny that P&D is listed on this song. He doesn't do shit on it. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
collab album, so their names are on all the songs, but this is mainly just Drake. It's a great production. And I listened to this song and I'm like, man, why did he sue? Because if Drake took the L, didn't sue, and kind of tried to get back to releasing like, Drake music, maybe get a little more into prime Drake form, could have moved off of it. I mean, like people would still talk shit, and that'd be like the weight the beef put on him would probably be with him forever. But it's something you could move past to the point where like it would exist, but like not to the point where it is now, because the way he's moved after the beef with the lawsuits and the pettiness and like going at LeBron for some reason and all of that, like
Yeah.
that's what's got people even more riled up. It's like got almost brought more attention to it. I have to shout out Mark from RDC. RDC is in the Drake lawsuit, by the way,
Yep.
um,
Yep.
for saying that he once was told by someone in his life, like, don't let an L make you take a bigger one. Right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes you take
Yeah.
an L in life, right? Like sometimes you fuck up, you lose, things don't go your way, but don't let like the anger that creates make you do something dumber. And that's what it felt like Drake was doing. So when I hear a song like Give Me a Hug, I'm like, man. Or even some of the stuff on Fighting Irish, even though I don't love, like, I think the LeBron beef is like very like childish. And also, good luck beefing with someone when you've got them tattooed on you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, come on. But if he stuck to the music, I think there was a path where he'd come out damaged, but would like still be functioning, right?
Yeah.
But now, even on like a song like this, where I think it's generally good because of how he's moving in real life, it is taking away from the music.
Yeah,
And
I will say though,
his lack of
starting,
foresight is
yeah.
ridiculous to me. Like for a guy this big and with like a PR team and all these resources, He got out strategized during the beef, and since then he has been moving like he's not thinking any of these things through. It's like he's just moving on his whims of what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah, you go ahead. I'm sorry, I've been yapping here, but
oh no, I was just gonna say that I haven't heard Give Me a Hug yet, but I just need to point out the fact that him starting out with, yeah, Drake elimination, fake intimidation. I'm like, dude,
yeah,
stop, man. This is not, that can't be how you lead off. Like,
yeah,
is
like,
this the
and there's
first song on the
parts.
album?
No, it's like in the
No, okay, got
middle
it.
of the
It's in the,
track list.
got it.
So
Okay.
there's parts like on this song that I like. So let me give him some points here, so we're not like
Hmm.
completely biased. But like there's a part here where there's like a good flow where he says, "Only reason I ain't got a girl and I ain't getting married because I'm really out here filling up the itinerary till I'm 6 feet in the cemetery. Bulletproof door so heavy got me rolling around like a dignitary. Funny how it's only bitch that are waiting on the boy's obituary." It's a good run. It sounds
Hmm.
good. He flows on it well. But the thing that gets annoying is he
Yeah.
said, if I die, these people are only like the people who are beefing with him are the only ones who are the beneficiary. And what are they going to do with like the influence and the void now that he's gone? Head of girls up at 29 on stage twerking with a dictionary. If this is another Kendrick dig about how like, and that's been the meme with him, right? Is like no one's popping ass to Bimp a Butterfly or whatever.
Yeah.
After the commercial success run he's been on,
Dude,
the
there's
joke
there
doesn't work.
I
It
was
just
gonna
doesn't
say,
work.
guys, it's Drake. They're up on stage twerking to not like us, man. You don't need a dictionary for A minor. We know what it means, man.
Don't need a dictionary for squabble up, TV
Yeah.
off, Luther, like humble. Like even before this, I always thought that point was really stupid because he's
Hmm.
had commercial success anyway. But
Yeah.
like after the run he's been on lately, like what are we fucking doing?
Hmm.
Like that diss just feels so old. He ends the first verse before the beat switch with like a very funny line, and this is where like the corniness of like we talked about this when we reviewed Certified Lover Boy, some
Yeah.
sexy songs for you. He's a bit old to be doing this, but the corniness of it sometimes works. Where he has a bar here where he says, "This girl face so pretty, I can only think of fucking missionary." That
That's
was
that's
funny.
that's a little funny. Yeah, it's a little
It
funny.
was funny, Drake. I'll give it to you. He can be a goofy lover boy, but the
You,
problem is
you
when he
know,
acts
I'm
hard,
gonna
it
I'm gonna
doesn't
say
work.
though, I'm gonna say something though. Drake, you might need to retire calling women girls though, after what happened.
Fair enough.
They should all
Um,
be women going forward just to clarify.
so there's another thing here. Um, there's a really funny bar where he says, Dirk's boy told me Marvin Room was his favorite song. He was drilling to it. How do you drill to Marvin's Room?
That is
It's
funny.
funny. It's a funny visual, but
Yeah.
and he talks about how 21 Savage is the only person checking on him, which is cute, I guess. Um,
He's like, 21's the only real one. Y'all are fake.
there's a Joe Budden diss in here, but I don't really care to touch that.
Oh no, no, he
But
disses the woman on Budden's show, remember?
yeah, my bad.
Not Budden
Yeah,
himself, because
he calls the woman out and says like you're hanging with a dick sucker. So once again, Drake calls the woman out by name
yeah,
and like
because again,
indirectly is shooting at Budden.
he's got nothing but words for women, apparently, you know? But he's got a lot of indirects for men. So
Also, they be dropping shit, but we dropping harder shit. No, you aren't.
nah, dude, we
This
know
song
that's
is
not true.
good, and like I've heard people like it's in the way people have talked about this album is interesting. Like essentially, what I've heard is like yeah, there's like 3 to 5 pretty good songs, and then the rest, some of it's like
Well,
okay, and then there's like some
that's good
ass.
though, because it's 21 songs.
Like as a lot of people said, like this song and like a couple others are like good and like honestly worth the listen, regardless
Sure,
of some of the
yeah.
weird hypocrisy we're seeing with his lyrics and how things have happened in real life. But then like the rest of it just feels like filler, which has honestly been the indictment of a lot of Drake projects coming up to this point was a lot of filler, you know.
A lot of filler in that, man.
Um I also fuck a rap beef. I'm trying to get the party lit. Drake, You engaged in it. You egged it on. You dropped push-ups in
what
response
happened
to
to
like.
drop, drop?
Yeah, he's like, I'm trying to move. It's like Kendrick like shot at him, and then he shot back, and then he antagonized him, and
Ken,
he moved in
yeah.
a way where it was like he really thought this was gonna be his big victory. Like he thought Family Matters was gonna break Kendrick,
Oh,
and then it
100%,
didn't.
yes.
He lost, and now he's like, we talked about this, I think, on this show, where it's like he's like, I'm taking my ball and going home. Like he's trying to
Yeah.
move past something that he is directly involved in, like egging on.
Yeah. Also, uh, two things I have to say about this. One, Drake, his whole attitude going from like drop, drop, drop to this, it's like Drake, it's like Kendrick lit a campfire, you know? And then Drake
Mhm.
took a massive thing of gasoline, threw it on it, and is shocked he got burned by it, you know? Like he's like, oh my God, the consequences of my own
And
actions.
some
But
of the other like
yeah.
inconsistencies on this song, if you're looking at the lyrics, like he talks about like a lot of people rapping that murder shit, but only some will really do it. And he talks about fake intimidation. Dog, you are suing.
You are suing, dude. You are suing them for a
It is like one of the
song.
most, it's like one of the least hip hop things I've ever seen is
Yeah,
filing a lot. It's, one of the
they're
least hip hop things is
so
trusting the American government to get your lick
the
back.
American judicial system. Man, just wait till I get my judges with me.
Yeah, also there's a bar I don't love when he says like them
Yeah.
Nike tights is hugging on that ass like they missed it.
All right, dude.
I will say I do kind of like his like the little give me a hug riff. It's so detached. Like the random jabs at this beef, Kendrick and this whole thing feels so
Yeah.
weirdly placed next to stuff like this kind of goofy last verse where he's like rapping to all of his like strippers that he misses and he's like, I miss you hoes, give me a hug.
The funny
It's
thing
like
for
Drake, if
me,
you want to go to the club and have fun and forget about this, go ahead. Stop bringing it up in the songs then. Just leave it
yeah,
at
well,
this, you
the
know?
funniest thing to me too is like Drake has released like multiple like post-mortems kind of to the beef, you know,
Yeah,
where
Fighting
he did
Irish is the other one
Fighting
with
Irish. I mean,
Conductor on the
I
beat.
could call Heart Part 6 a post-mortem because like it was over when he dropped it, you know?
Yeah.
And like Heart Part 6 is the Drake Heart Part 6 is one of the worst songs ever written, maybe.
Yeah,
And
Kendrick's Hard Part 6 is like a wholesome story about
it's
coming up
yeah.
with your friends.
His Heart Part 6 is great. And also it's so funny that Kendrick just like steamrolled Drake by just naming it that again. But the whole thing I was gonna say though was like, sorry, beyond a bit. All these different postmortems and stuff, it's like so clear that Drake is like, and the like lawsuit, everything. Drake cannot let go of the fact that he lost, right? Kendrick won, and yes, like he put his disses into, he did the pop out, he did all that, he celebrated his victory, definitely.
You kind of
Um,
get to though. When you win, you
but
kind of get
oh,
to
you do
celebrate
get
how
to,
you
but
want to.
also look at GNX and like what it's about. There's songs on there that are just about a variety of topics, you know?
GNX is very much not about
It's
Drake
not
that much.
about Drake. Yeah.
There's a couple references to the beef, like,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you crash out, you better break the backboard.
Yeah,
Or,
and like I think Whacked Out
if
Murals
you
he
act
references
out,
in a
then you
bit.
black
Like,
out.
yeah.
Whacked Out Murals is about so much more than just Drake, though. That's about
Yeah,
like
no,
the
exactly. Yeah,
industry.
yeah.
That's about a lot of people. It's about
Yeah.
Wayne. It's about how like
Yeah,
Nas is
it's
the
about
only
a
one who
bunch of people.
congratulated him because all
Yeah.
of y'all are fake. Like GNX is like, here's the thing, right? Like GNX is, it's a smart move. It's built off the momentum of what the beef was doing for
Yes,
him.
exactly.
But the album decidedly, a lot of its like notable tracks, like Gloria, the beautiful song about his relationship with his writing, it's not
Yeah.
about the beef at all.
No,
And
it
I
doesn't,
mean,
it's not even
Drake
mentioned.
is
Yeah.
leaning into this whole they want to see me die, they need to kill me because that's the only way they get put on. And it's like, bro, you can't little bro someone when they're putting up bigger numbers than you. And you could say, well, it's because of
He
me. It
has
doesn't matter.
it
He's
doesn't matter.
outgunning you
He
right
now
now.
has like it's Drake has lost on all fronts now. He does
He's
not even
taking all he's
have
taking a bunch of your records.
Yeah, he doesn't even have the commercial success anymore that he like or let me say this. He does not have the commercial advantage over Kendrick anymore either. Because he would be like, oh yeah, well if he's better, then why are more people listening to mine? It's like, well, that's gone now too. It's like,
Yeah, it's And
It's
like
it's just
I also
it's
will
the way
not,
he moves makes no sense now.
well, because the
He's
argument
he's
that
a
he's like,
shattered man.
yeah, and this logic that like Kendrick's like this thirsty, excuse me, this I'm thirsty, this thirsty clout
Yeah,
chaser who like needed this. It's like he didn't. He's parlayed it into like an incredible commercial run for himself. But like
yeah.
that's just being smart with your opportunities. I mean, like if Drake won, he would also be milking this. Like the idea
Oh,
that like he
100% he
wouldn't
would
be.
be.
And to end the Drake thing, and I don't know where his head's gonna be at going forward, is on another song.
I think I know where his head will be. It'll be up his butt and to the left.
While he wags his penis at a camera. Um, but on a song called Raining in Houston, forget colonizing Atlanta. This motherfucker wants to colonize Houston. Um,
Oh, did he say? Wait. What's the song?
the song's called Raining in Houston, and in general,
Okay.
Drake has just become like a big Houston guy. So a big
Houston, Atlanta,
Texas guy.
Vegas. Houston, Atlanta,
Houston, Atlanta,
Vegas.
Vegas. But at the end of that song, he's like sing-songily says, "These guys would die to see me losing my love. The hate from this year alone is confusing my love. I can't see things getting much smoother, my love." Drake, this is where the white part of Drake really shows, not just the lawsuit, but this like self-victim thing where he's like, "I don't
Yeah.
get why people hate me." Look in
Dude,
the fucking mirror, dude.
there's so many valid reasons, man. I'm sorry. Like, oh my God.
Forget the whole like the grooming underage girls, like I mean that's a big part of this conversation, but like that's all like
Yeah.
based on like it's there's a it's not as like in stone, right? It's not like a
Yeah,
crime that he
yeah.
can be convicted of, right? Take that out. He's petty, he takes shots at plenty of people, he's real shitty with women, and
Yeah,
like
he's so disrespectful to
and in the
women
context of the beef,
constantly.
he accused Kendrick of being a domestic abuser and that one of his kids
Yeah.
isn't his. Like, I mean, yeah, why would the guy fucking hate you? I mean, come on, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
I don't
it's
know.
again his lack of
He's
just like
he's moving into this thing where, like you said, he was like an initiator. He
yeah.
added fuel to the fire, all of it, and now he's like acting like he was like this bystander in this whole
Yeah.
affair.
He was like, why was Kendrick being so mean to me? It's like, geez, I wonder why, man. He
Yeah,
warned you multiple times not to do what you were going to what you were obviously gonna do.
I think the best hope for Drake going forward, and what I'd frankly like him to do, stop. Just let you. I
Just
know, like
stop, yeah.
let Kendrick wants to milk it even more. Let him. You just
Yeah.
stop talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Because at this point, that's your only avenue to try and move past this in some capacity. I don't think you ever can at this point, especially with all the lawsuits. And like I said,
Nah,
moving
yeah.
stupid after the L has extended the longevity of the L.
He has made getting past this much more difficult on himself. That's the thing that's like really like bad for him is he's making it
Yeah.
worse for himself.
I think if you're a Drake fan, your best hope is like he just goes into music mode. He tries to leave some of this stuff alone. He will probably make bars and references about it and talk about living and coming out on top or how
Yeah.
people just want to get at him. That'll be met with eye rolls. But if that's, I hope he just even cuts those out and just kind of just moves back to trying to just make music again. I mean, he's
Yeah,
not, that lawsuit's
I
not
just
gonna
hope
go anywhere. So that's
Drake
gonna die out
drop
soon anyway. So.
I would say Drake drop a nice for what, but take out the stuff about high school picks being bad then, and I think that you'll be on the right track.
I mean, that's his best hope. Like, I think Drake going forward, what I think he should do is try to make good music and see
Yeah.
if that can at least give him something going forward. What
Look,
I
I
think
you
he'll do is I think he'll continue doing shit like this, where he'll release new music, but he will still keep passively aggressing talking about the
brother, you
L he
got
took.
yeah. People you got to
I think
realize
that's what
something,
he'll
Drake.
actually do.
People are not how should I say this? People still bump R. Kelly's music, Drake. You can like and people were still bumping
There's a
R.
lane for
Kelly's
terrible
music.
famous people to continue being
You can be
successful.
terrible and famous if the music is good, like genuinely. Like
For
people
the
will
average
expect.
person,
Well, here,
yeah.
okay. You can be terrible and famous if the music is good and you are a man too, like mostly. Like there's a lot more forgiveness towards
Yeah,
men
like
that do
let's be,
bad
you're
things, but
right though.
like
Like the reality
it's
of the way
like
like people consume media from famous people, like actors, musicians, etc.
yeah,
If you are good enough at the thing you do, athletes too. If you're good enough at the thing you do, a lot of people will just act like you didn't do the bad stuff or
exactly. Yeah,
the
yeah.
allegations aren't there or whatever.
Yeah, like
You know.
Like
You and I will still remember this, but we don't
yeah, yeah,
represent a broad majority of the listening public, the average
yeah.
music listener.
There's people that still think Drake's the GOAT. Those people are probably not good, but like they're there.
Yeah, he has a path out still, and
Yeah.
he needs to focus on just trying to make good music, but he won't. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like Kendrick said it in Euphoria, he's spiraling, and frankly, I just don't know if it'll end because I think he's in his own head about this. He's just gonna keep talking about it himself
Yeah.
in his own like little subtle passive aggressive ways that he's always kind of taken shots and talked about things, but I think that's what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
But
You know what? You know what Drake's biggest problem is?
what?
And this is like we all know this. He's way too sensitive. Like, could you imagine in any world Kendrick Lamar DMing Anthony Fantano to like tell him he's a light, his existence is a light
He's barely
wad?
on social media. I
Yeah,
mean,
like could you ever imagine it's like Kendrick or
no,
like
there's a lot of rappers who I can't
Jay-Z
imagine doing
or
that
like
because
anyone moving like that?
it's frankly absurd his inability to just like let it go
Yeah.
for a guy as successful as he is too. He's legitimately one of the biggest pop rap artists, like he's one of the biggest artists of the modern era, incredibly successful, but he moves in such an insecure and like
Mhm.
petty way. And it's like moving like that, his career, like once he got established and he didn't have to pretend to be this or that anymore, and the real colors showed, or the behind the scenes, the real Drake was always there, it catches up with you because people don't fuck with that sort of energy, man. I mean, I don't
Absolutely.
know, man. We'll see if the superstar keeps the actor we once knew smiling or spiraling. Probably
Yep.
not smiling, probably just smoking hookah, singing his heart out.
Yep.
But we'll see. And with that, there's no fancy segue for this next piece. We have one more segment we want to do, but I'm also looking at how much time we've got left on this call. So do you
Yeah.
want to take a
Like
pause, move to another call, and
Vasant, let's use the rest of the time that's called set the tiers and then we'll
okay,
move to the next
perfect.
one. Yeah. But
Well,
we'll take a break for now, guys.
okay, everything's all squared away. We're ready to go. And we're going to go ahead and work through our tier list here, which you probably figured out from our conversation to end sort of our last segment there when we were wrapping up talking about Drake. We're going to tier list Super Bowl halftime shows. However, there are way too many for us to sort of just like, I mean, we could do it, but it would be a very long segment. It could probably be its own episode and would
Yeah.
require us to also like have gone back and listened to all of them.
Mhm.
Um, so instead, what I decided to do is we're tier listing a total of 8 halftime performances. These are the 8 most recent ones. So Aiden and I met at NC State University in 2017. So I thought, hey, let's just start there and pick all those performances. So in chronological order, we will be tier listing Justin Timberlake's performance, Maroon 5's performance, J Lo and Shakira's performance, The Weeknd's performance, Dr. Dre and Cruz performance, Rihanna's performance, Usher's performance, and of course Kendrick Lamar's performance, which we spent a good chunk of the episode talking about. Aiden, you want to go ahead and take him through our tiers?
Sure thing. We have our S tier is smash hit over the middle. Our A tier is another banger and another ring. Our B tier is bops and bootleg TDs. Our C tier is commercials might be better. Our D tier is damn, turn this TV off. Or sorry, we just turn this off. The music and the game.
Actually,
Uh,
I'm gonna change it to damn turn this TV off. Let's just do that.
okay.
Shout out
Maybe,
Kendrick.
maybe, maybe damn exclamations. Turn this TV off exclamation. And then flag on our F tier is flag on the play for failure.
Yep. And also the nice thing about these halftime shows is we remember them pretty well because
Yeah,
they're more
yeah.
recent. So let's go ahead and just do it. Let's take them in order, starting with
Mhm.
JT. This is a halftime show in a very entertaining game, the Nick Foles Eagles versus Tom Brady's New England Patriots. Super high scoring game. I think to this day still the highest scoring Super Bowl of all time.
So, yeah.
Um, was obviously not fun to watch for Aiden,
Do you
seeing the
want
Eagles
to know
win.
something amazing? Nick
But
Foles threw for like 500 yards on that Patriots defense, and then the Lions made Matt Patricia the head coach of their team.
man, the Lions used to really be a different type of organization.
For like the entirety of their existence, yeah, they were a horrible organization.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, that game was, regardless of how you feel about who won, the game was incredibly entertaining. Halftime show, this one felt very just by the numbers. It was a halftime show.
I think the thing that really hurts this halftime show is it felt like very first of all, it felt like way too late in Timberlake's career to have a halftime show. You know, he was
It's like
not
Man
at
in
the
the
height of his
Woods era
powers.
Timberlake, right?
Um,
Or, or is this
I
even
think
after
is it
that?
wait, is it? It might be. Wait. If it's Man of the Woods era, that's like
That's a
insane because that was
horrible
that was a
era to
horrible
pick.
album. Man of the Woods, right? That's the
Yeah, because he's
album,
got
Man
like
of
this
the
like
Woods.
the picture we've got, he's got this like kind of outdoorsy shirt fit going
Yeah, this
on.
this is this is just about the time Man of the Woods came
Oh, this is an
out.
awful time to pick him.
Yeah,
Also,
oh
wasn't this Super Bowl
God.
in Atlanta too? And people were like kind of upset that they
No,
didn't like.
it was in Minnesota, right? Wasn't that it?
Oh, the
Or no,
next one.
was it Atlanta?
It's either him or Adam
Let
Levine's
me
that
see.
was in Atlanta, and people were like, "Why didn't you pick someone?" Atlanta has such a rich music history, and you picked these people.
That's the Maroon 5 one, I
Okay,
believe.
we'll
Yeah, this
say
one was
that.
in Minnesota. This one was in because it was in Minnesota because they did the Prince tribute during this one.
Oh yeah, that was a nice
Um,
touch though. I'll give him that. But
it is very weird for it to have be done by Timberlake, who him and Prince had beef for like years, apparently.
yeah, not exactly like a
Um,
Prince disciple or something out going on.
no, yeah, yeah. Like I'm shocked that they
Like
didn't bring
having
out
Drake do
someone.
a Tupac tribute. It doesn't
It's
make sense.
literally, yeah. It's like, man, Tupac just meant so much to me growing up in Toronto.
Growing up in the six.
Growing up in the six.
Uh,
Um, yeah, I think what hurts this one is like two things. One, again, it's way too late for Timberlake. It's like in a bad era of Timberlake. Um, it feels very corny at times. Doing like the troll
he
song,
he did the
is
mic
like
thing to try and bring the aura up.
yeah, I mean, yeah, he had some good dance stuff. That was
I
true.
mean, he
Like he
can
can still
dance. I mean,
dance. He can
yeah.
dance, yeah. He sounded pretty good. Um, there was that very like awkward moment with the kid, that like took a selfie with him and was just like on his phone
Yeah, it
and
was
just didn't
just
know what to do. Like,
it was an odd halftime show. It ultimately
yeah.
felt very much like a by the numbers performance. Feels like a C or D tier halftime performance.
Yeah, I could go either way on that. I kind of like I'm trying to separate trying to separate art from the artist here a bit. I
Yeah,
think if you
he's
separate art
his
from the artist of it, I think it's C tier. I think it's just like
yeah, his
it's
PR's
whatever.
got even worse lately, as if it
Yeah.
wasn't already bad enough. Yeah, ultimately it's a very like it doesn't need to be good because the game was so good that no one's remembering it. So it kind of
Exactly,
just
yeah.
exists. So then we'll move on to next year. I mean, if you love defense, great Super Bowl, but an awful Super Bowl to watch, frankly. Rams Patriots.
This Super Bowl is probably the worst Super Bowl I've
Not
ever
a great
seen,
viewing
start to finish.
experience. And
Start
on
to
top
finish,
of
the worst Super Bowl I've ever
yeah,
seen.
in the middle of that viewing experience, we get Maroon 5 as the headliner. There's a Travis Scott
I want
cameo.
you to remember too, the commercials for that year were like horrendous
Yeah,
too.
it was a I've
Not
kind of
not
repre
not for not forgettable, not that horrendous, like across the board.
yeah, it legitimately is a Super Bowl I've repressed because I didn't
Yeah.
enjoy any of it.
Yeah.
It features a Maroon 5 performance with Travis Scott making a brief appearance, and there's a couple things wrong with this one. Obviously, it's in Atlanta, and they just didn't bother tapping Atlanta's deep, rich hip hop culture or anything.
Well, no, they did. They had Big Boy there for some
I mean,
reason.
shut the fuck up. I mean, like
That
headlining.
that was the only good part of the show is Big Boy walking
That
off
was
stage
just well,
going ATL ho ATL
well, it's a good
ho.
thing you bring that up because this Super Bowl performance also like has like weird pandering things to like placate
Yeah,
people. So like, oh hey, here's Big Boy. We love Atlanta. Um,
yeah.
but also this was when
Stephen
leading
Hillenburg had
into this
passed
era, Steven
away.
Hillenburg, creator of SpongeBob, had passed away, and one
Yeah,
of the most iconic SpongeBob episodes ever is the Bubble Bowl episode where they do a Super Bowl halftime performance, essentially. And so
yeah.
people thought they would do like the sweet, sweet victory, something like that. but they play like a little clip, right, or something essentially, and
Yeah, and then
they
they
do the
start to
trumpets.
they do the beginning with the trumpets. And I remember the song that I and Elisa were watching this at a party that the like hall council
Yeah, it was
of
like a
our of
dorm
their
lounge
of yeah,
essentially.
the dorm lounge was having. And the moment we all saw Squidward on stage, we all were like everyone in that room perked up. They're
Everyone
like,
kind of
"Oh my
popped a
God,
little bit, yeah.
like they're actually gonna do it. That's crazy." And then no, they do the horns, and then sicko mode starts
Travis
playing.
Scott appears in an asteroid.
Yes.
And that's
And
all. So like they're trying to like they were like, oh, here's your little SpongeBob thing. Oh, here's Atlanta, and it's all built around a just dreadful Maroon 5
yeah,
performance. Maroon 5 is barely a band at this point. Adam Levine did not need to go shirtless and show us all his fucking tattoos for no reason.
yeah. And then him, maybe one of the most underrated, uncomfortable parts of it is when Travis is doing sicko mode. Him, like Adam Levine needing to feel like he needs to be in the shot, basically.
And just
He's
like
like next to him, just like, like trying to dance all hard and
really
everything. It's like,
gyrating
dude,
weirdly the
yeah,
whole
it's like,
time.
dude, like get away, man. Like it's
I'm just
not
putting this
even,
where this belongs, Aiden. We don't
yeah,
even
it
need
was
it's
terrible.
this is an F tier performance for
It
so
was
many
a
reasons.
horrible Super Bowl
And that's the thing, right? If
performance.
the game sucks, some eyes go to like commercials, performance, like other things, right? And
That
so
was the worst Super Bowl start to battle I've ever seen. It was
that it
horrible.
might be an all timer awful Super Bowl viewing experience.
Yeah, that was the
Um,
worst.
I think with that we
And
move
the,
into
the other the other the
yeah,
other
go
part
ahead.
about this the other underrated part about the Patriots get another Super Bowl win as a result of
Oh
this.
yeah, it's like Satan wins again, America.
Yeah,
Like
no, it wasn't even fun. It was just
yeah, you don't
horrible.
even get like oh Jared Goff got a Super Bowl. That's neat. Nope.
Yeah, no, no, just
Um,
terrible.
I think after this year we move into like the Jay-Z Apple, not maybe not Apple
Not
Music,
quite,
but like the
not quite,
J.
because Shakira and J-Lo are not.
They're not Jay-Z produced.
No, no.
Okay. Well, we move into frankly, finally an injection of life in our Super Bowl
Yeah,
halftime performances. Also injected life into a lot of old man penises.
that's true.
Seeing Shakira and J Lo go crazy on stage. In Miami as well.
Yeah, which
Frank,
means Pitbull showed up.
hell yeah, dude. This was
Didn't he?
a.
Didn't Pitbull show up?
I
Right?
swear he did.
I
See,
think. Hang on.
we said, oh, we remember these performances. They're recent.
Yeah.
Well, Aiden's fact checking that this performance had a lot of color, a lot of energy. Really brought like it felt like a spectacle. It felt like a halftime show. Shakira and J Lo were dancing their asses off. Like
Also,
it was.
I was wrong. Pitbull did not show up. Bad Bunny and J Balvin did, which honestly, like
That's
the
fun.
fact
That's
that
good.
Bad Bunny showed up is pretty crazy.
Yeah, this was like I think earlier on in his like US
Yeah.
type. But this was like this Super Bowl halftime show got a lot of global play. I think it is like globally the highest viewed one, like from international
Mhm.
markets and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see like a, like obviously like uh, a different like music genre, like internationally be sort of center stage with
Mhm.
Shakira and J Lo as the headliners. A lot of energy, dancing. This one had the juice for sure. It was a good Super Bowl halftime show performance. A lot of the moms didn't like it because their husbands were maybe staring a little too hard at the TV, but I
Well,
thought it
yeah, a
was
lot of rump shaking. A lot of rump
a lot
shaking. I
of
thought it was a
rump
good one.
shake. I thought it was fun. It was like
Yeah.
for Miami too, I believe, right? It
Yeah.
just really fit the vibe, right? It's like we're in
Hmm.
Miami, big, Latin culture here. Let's get Shakira and J Lo, throw in Bad Bunny, throw in J Balvin, color, dancing, the music. Like they played a lot of hits.
Yeah.
Very much like typical spectacle performance. An upper tier performance. I don't know where I'd put it.
I
Um,
think I don't find it particularly like as like a standout, but it's like good. It is a good
it's like a
performance.
high B performance.
Yeah, yeah.
You could argue it for A, I think. It's like a good performance for
Do you want
sure.
to argue it for A?
Not yet. We'll see where everyone
Okay.
else falls. But it's a good one. Like if someone was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
like how was the Shakira J Lo show?" Like, "Oh, it's pretty good. You should watch the
Yeah,
YouTube
it's
video of it.
pretty.
It's like
Yeah,
fun." Um, and like
yeah.
I said, it had a lot of bops in it too. So
Hmm.
we'll check that box. So I think moving on, we're now on the weekend, which This one is an interesting one to review. I will say for
I
some of
think
these,
this is where Jay gets involved too, actually.
yeah,
But
Jay is
I
like
don't think he was involved prior. Yeah.
yeah, the Jay-Z Apple Music halftime show era is officially begun at this point, I believe. And I will also say, I mean, this one, I mean, a lot of them can have mixing issues, but this one in particular had like some pretty rough audio mixing, but that's hard to
Yes,
put on the
yes.
performer. That's on the
But I mean,
crew and then everyone involved.
it is part of what you can like judge it by. Is like this one did have like particularly rough mixing issues.
Yeah, you couldn't hear
Um,
him. The set design on this one was really good.
yeah,
It lived up to the spectacle thing for sure. The blinding lights maze was fun. The
yeah.
big like cityscape stage, the masks, everyone wearing the same suit. Like he did there was a lot of reports that he was really committed to making this like really big
Hmm.
because he saw it as like a massive opportunity, put a lot of money
Yeah,
of his own money into it. And I think
yeah.
like that showed. Like there was clearly a lot of thought put into making it like a really bombastic production. And I liked his set list.
Yeah,
I honestly think it's held back by the fact that it didn't sound great live. The video
exactly. Yeah. And
sounds much better, but
I think there's also, this is my personal opinion. I don't know if it quite had like the juice to, you know? There's a lot of
yeah,
like cool things about it, but I don't know if it has like the juice that a
it had a
lot of those
lot going
performances have.
on, I
Yeah.
guess. And that is both to its like credit, but also maybe detriment because nothing ever really gets to stay with you because we're kind of moving around a lot between set pieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
This feels like it's still like good and ambitious enough that I think this one can still be in B, but it's below J-Lo and Shakira in B, if that
Yeah, I
makes
think that's
sense.
fine with me. Yeah.
It's like a lower tier B. It had potential to be a lot higher, but some of the production
Yeah.
elements just don't click. And it's not the weekend's fault because the mixing is rough for some of these halftime shows all over the place.
Yeah.
But it's got to be considered, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, next up we go into I think like for a lot of people considered like when the modern era of Super Bowl halftime shows the best one, and that is like the
Mhm.
Dr. Dre West Coast Bonanza
Okay,
halftime show.
that one's S tier. Absolutely.
It's S tier. I mean,
Yeah, that
the
one's S
the
tier.
set design on this one is really cool. The house, the car, the
Hmm.
lowrider, the
50
way we
Cent hanging upside down.
the blood clearly rushing. He was
Blood
waiting
going from
like
his head.
that.
Yeah, he was like, "Help me, please get me down from here as quick as
And
possible."
like as people pointed out, not the same. I mean, he's still like a massive dude. He's like buff as hell, but he's not the same
Yeah.
shape as he used to
No.
be. And I felt bad for
Um,
him because that looked painful to do, but he did it.
yeah, this performance in a lot of ways is the unction. It's a lot of people, just like really old guys, but they all like gave good performances. It was a really cool mix. I
You got
think
Anderson on the
Dre,
drums.
yeah,
Kendrick was
Anderson on
there.
the
He did it
drums.
all right.
The one person I still feel is just like out of place in this whole thing, so there's a lot of like West Coast energy is Eminem doing Lose Yourself.
Yeah, that's
But you know, it's fine.
yeah.
M
It
was
had the
good. It's not
stadium
like
pop. Yeah, Dre
yeah,
is such an iconic producer and someone who has been a part of
yeah,
so much talent in hip hop. Eminem,
yeah.
we'll start Snoop to
But
M
it's
to
like M is one of his
50.
guys, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
Like,
Snoop to
yeah,
M to
yeah.
50 to Kendrick and Anderson. Like it was cool seeing the eras of Dr. Dre's influence and Mary J. Blige crushed her
She's great
vocals
too. Yeah.
and was awesome. So like this one is just cool. Like it's got so much this one has juice. The set's cool, the songs all sounded great. It was a great
Hmm.
mashup. And this one really felt like it had broad appeal. There was like the old
Yeah.
school hip hop, the lose yourself for the whites, I'm just kidding. Above I like lose yourself too. It's
White people were shaking their head disapprovingly, and then Eminem came on stage like, "Oh my God,
but no,
lose yourself
it
in
was
the music."
it was a really well sequenced set of
Yeah,
songs, and
yeah.
it was in California, so I thought it was nice too, like because of the time zone difference. It was like bright during the
Yeah,
halftime show,
yeah.
and I think it was to the benefit of how the show looked
Like
because it
that's
felt
like
like
so that reminds me of like the Coldplay halftime show. That Coldplay halftime show would have looked a lot better if it was at night. Because that one
they
was like a
did it in
West
San
Coast one too.
Francisco. Yeah,
And there was like all this color stuff that probably would have looked better if like they had like things glowing and like whatever, you know?
yeah, that one is
Um
still a fun
this
performance though because Bruno and Beyonce both show up
yeah,
and have a
yeah.
dance
But
battle.
this yeah, but like this one like benefits from the daylight definitely. Like it seems like they completely thought about the fact like it will be bright out when we do this. So like let's make it look like
Yeah.
look right for that.
A true love letter to like West Coast hip hop for a lot of it, and also just like a
Yeah.
true like a real like I said book like end to end Dr. Dre's career and influence in a show. Really well done. I can't
Kendrick
complain.
did you Baxi freestyle? Right? Yeah.
Yeah, he did that. This
Yeah,
was
he
the
did
one where he
Baxi
did some of the
freestyle.
like the hits people would have wanted.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an S tier, I think, for sure. And then moving on, we
Yeah.
have Rihanna's performance with the Final Destination platforms and um
All the
an
Smash
interesting
Bros.
performance
Platforms
that
of it,
was,
yeah.
I will give credit, well choreographed around the fact that she was pregnant at the time and cannot
Yeah.
move too much.
Yeah.
Um so this one is very simple, right? Like there's not too much
Yes.
going on. It's built around these like platform levitating and moving up and down, and a lot of the choreography is really what's carrying it. Along with, I mean, Rihanna sounded really good. I think she sang
Yeah.
quite well during this.
The
It's
the
difficult
funniest I
to
try the
rank though.
funniest
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
funniest thing about this show still is we were watching, this was the Eagles in 2022 or
Is the
2023,
first Eagles
whatever.
Chiefs matchup? Yeah,
Um we were watching this in a bar in Philly, and at one point Rihanna was making like one of those like stank faces at the camera, you know?
yeah,
And every woman in the bar just went like, ooh.
yeah. There was a lot of Cara
um
Delevingne's in the bar that day.
Um, yeah, no, Rihanna sounded really good. Excuse me. She definitely felt they definitely like she wasn't moving quite the same she may have if she wasn't pregnant, but she was still really good. And she had some like really cool moments too. A lot of aura like emanating off of
A
her
big
too.
aura halftime show, and that's why
Yeah.
ranking it feels weird. I
Yeah.
don't know where to put it.
I think it's like a high B personally.
Is it better than J-Lo Shakira?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
willing to put it above it, but like they're like similar tiers of halftime
yeah.
show. Like they're right next to each other. I think it is really carried by the idea that like people have not seen this woman perform because Fenty is obviously quite successful. She's got
Yeah.
very successful business
The
ventures.
the the yeah, the other underrated funny thing about this is that people thought like, oh, is she gonna like announce her return to music with this? No,
She
not at
played all
all.
of her hits basically and
She
called
just
it a
played her
day.
hits. It was like, I'm out. Yeah, peace.
So I think it's fair to put.
She by the way, I think is still like top. Like, hang on, let me see what she is on Spotify right now. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's her
The
like
the
that's the
wo- the
thing, like
woman the woman has not released music since
what 2016.
2016
Yeah.
essentially, and she's still ninth in the world on
Yeah, it's
Spotify.
incredible. That's her staying power and her like
Yeah.
brand is ridiculous. And I think that's what's
Yeah.
impressive is like this halftime show is very much your mileage is very much dependent on how much you care about seeing Rihanna perform for the first time in a long time.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
And the show, I think I give this points for like the show was like built around obviously she can't move that much,
Yeah.
but also it's like it's about her. So like everything else kind of just like
It
is set
entirely works
dressing
just
for her,
based off of her stage presence. Like she has just
which she still
incredible
has.
stage
She hasn't
presence.
lost it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think high B is good for that one. You could make the art kind of like J-Lo Shakira could make the argument for like it being in the A tier.
Yeah.
Next up we have Usher. I personally fucking love the Usher
I think
halftime
the
show.
Usher one's awesome. Yeah, the Usher one's
This
great.
one also has like some mixing issues. I think mainly
Yeah.
the earlier leg with where because he was wearing like the mic, like the one that's like he had like the stand mic, right? But he starts out with the one that's like on his head, and it doesn't
Yeah, and
sound quite
that
right.
one gave you some issues. Yeah.
But it is
Um,
so cool. The roller
they
skating, his different costumes, bringing out
they
fucking Ludacris.
they brought Will I Am back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like the people he brought out for this were awesome. Alicia
Yeah.
Keys was great.
She was great once she logged in. Her voice cracks immediately at the beginning of the
She
performance.
locked in. They had a very
She locked in
sensual
though. She locked
performance.
in. Yeah. She
Usher
locked
just
in.
had so much fun. He is this is stage presence to
he's
1,000.
also a sicko. He was like hugging up on Alicia.
Yeah, he was getting real
He's
into
a
it. He was
sicko,
sweaty,
dude.
he took his
He's
shirt off, he
crazy.
put that crazy blue sequined outfit
Yeah,
on.
he's a sicko, man. He is. They had her to come out and like fake play the guitar because they don't do instruments live at the Super Bowl. But
She
like,
looked cool though.
she looked cool, but I was like, why is it her? Okay, I don't know. That's cool. Like,
He had a cool guest list for sure. Like I said, I loved
yeah,
seeing
yeah.
Ludacris out there.
Oh, Luda was
And Lil
awesome, and
and
Luda
was
brought the
Lil Jon there
throwback,
too
like
to do Yeah?
yeah, Lil Jon
Or
was there to do
yeah, they did
with
Yeah,
Luda and
man. I mean,
him.
come on, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
like this one, this one I really felt Usher's joy for doing
yeah,
this
exactly.
halftime
Usher
show.
clearly like loves performing.
I think this is an A tier. I think he fucking
I think it's
crushed
A.
it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome.
A for Atlanta. Shout out to Usher.
Yeah,
They could have had him instead of
ATL.
Maroon 5.
They really should have, man. Like,
And finally, we've got the guy we've been talking about for a majority of this
Mm.
episode, Kendrick Lamar's recent performance at the Super Bowl in Louisiana. So, where does it
so
go? I think
you know me, I'm a Glazer, so I'm gonna let you say where you want to put this, and I'll let you know.
so. The thing with the Kendrick halftime show is we're not going to really retread what we already said. It really
Yeah.
comes down to three things. One, you're not racist. Two, two, it two is like your like how like if you're like if you know who he is but you've not really tapped into the newer songs, that might hurt it a little bit just because he was decidedly focused on a lot more of the newer tracks for this
Yeah.
set list. And the third one is really just like how you feel a Super Bowl halftime show should be. This one is a lot less spectacle. It's not like J Lo, Shakira. It's not like Usher even. It's not like the Dr. Dre one. It definitely is more in that like Rihanna vein where it's simplified, but specifically this one is like a storytelling exercise. So it just depends on how you feel about that being your Super Bowl halftime show, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So ultimately, I think it's got a case for high A and it's got a case for S because I think it's really good too. I
yeah.
don't think it's better than the Dre one,
Hmm.
but I think if you wanted to put in an S, I think that's fair. I just think it's not as good as the Dre, just because the Dre one is just like an incredible, like the way they just weave in like so many performers and it felt so cohesive and it's such like a hip hop love letter specifically for like the Dre influenced hip hop. I have to
Yeah.
give it a lot of points for how well it does that. I think the Kendrick one's really good. I think I personally like the Dre one a little more, but I'm fine putting Kendrick in S. I just think he's not the best one, if that makes sense.
I agree with you. I think I'd put it in S, but I think the Dre one is still better.
Okay, well there we go. If you want to go ahead, Aiden, you can run through what we've got in each of our tiers. We
Yeah.
didn't end up having anything in D tier. We also didn't have that many performances because we're only focusing on 8. So
Yeah. So yeah, in our S tier we had Dre and Kendrick. Apparently the key to getting an S tier for me and Vasanth is have a rap headliner. Um, our B tier, or sorry, our A tier was Usher, stands alone in there. Our B tier was Rihanna, Shakira, and J-Lo, and The Weeknd. Our C tier was Justin Timberlake, and our F tier was Adam Levine. Vasanth, this is not helping us beat the racism accusations.
oh what? There's good white halftime shows.
There's no white people above C tier, man.
I'd put Creed up pretty high. I like the Aerosmith In Sync one is pretty fun. I mean, next year we're probably getting fucking Morgan Wallen or whatever after the response the Kendrick one got. So, you know, don't worry, America.
Successful. So like I don't know. You follow the money in my opinion.
The NFL is listening to you.
Yeah, exactly. But it could easily be like Morgan Wallen next year. So like I did
Who are
say that too,
the?
just if people freak out.
I mean,
But yeah.
white halftime shows. I'm trying to think of like who. Lady Gaga's was really good. She could have been ranked.
Yeah,
pretty
she was
high down
awesome.
here.
Yeah, she
She
would
came
have
from
been
the
like
ceiling,
yeah.
right? That was her.
Yeah,
who
she
jumped
would
up
have been
there.
A to S. She was awesome.
Katy Perry wouldn't have got a good score because I think the shark is
Nah.
the only thing anyone remembers from that
Yeah,
anyway.
that show wasn't great. Madonna's wasn't great. I'm trying to think
Madonna's
about
was
what other
so.
ones.
You talking about picking an odd time to do one?
Yeah, she was way too late
That show
for,
had
yeah.
LMFAO, Nicki Minaj, and MIA
MIA.
in it.
Yeah, it
Like
was
such
such a
an odd
weird. That's one of the
smorgasbord
weirdest
of
shows.
people. Yeah, it's one of the most fever dream shows ever.
I know some people like the Black Eyed Peas one. I'm not a huge fan of the Black Eyed Peas one. I'm trying to
There's
think of
Bruce
what other
Springsteen and the
ones.
E Street guys. They did it in
That
like
one's pretty good.
2000.
That one's
Yeah,
pretty
that
good,
one's
but that's
good.
yeah, that's also that's
That's
a
a
Jeanette
dad. That's for
Jackson.
dads.
Well, yeah, that's because after the Jeanette Jackson wardrobe malfunction happened, they went, we're only having old men perform for like
Also,
seven
yeah, why did they bring
years.
Timberlake back? That was his
Yeah.
fault.
Oh yeah, no, it was ridiculous. If anyone should have been banned from the Super Bowl, it should have been him. I don't know if Jeanette was banned. I'm just saying, just
Well, now Timberlake
speaking out
should
of
be
turn,
banned
but
because he got his one performance. It wasn't that good, and his stock has
yeah,
continued to drop in real life.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I think the else was I thinking of just some of the more notable ones. It is really funny. I think they had like a 3-year stretch where they did like Springsteen, Tom Petty, and The Who, something like that.
yeah, they went real
Like
throwback on
it was the unction for a while there. Let me
real
see.
aggressive unction.
Yeah. And I think it's like pretty much directly after the Jeanette Jackson. This is like, I know this is not quite what our topic is, but this is just like a very funny thing to. Okay, so 2004, right?
Yeah,
It is Jeanette Jackson, P. Diddy. Uh-oh.
yeah, that one has a weird list of people. Kid Rock's in there, I think,
Yeah, wait,
too.
Nelly, Kid Rock, Justin Timberlake, Jessica Simpson. It's just
Jessica
in like a
Simpson.
yeah, Jessica Simpson was part of it, man. There was a moment when she was like really popular.
Shout out to
And
Nelly,
then
man. I would have loved the
they
Nelly halftime show.
I bet Nelly was I haven't really watched that one all the way through, but I bet Nelly kind of crushed it because Nelly would have been fun. Next year they went, okay, it's just Paul McCartney. It is just Paul McCartney.
No guess, nothing.
No guests, no nothing. And after that, they were like, it's just the Rolling Stones.
Oh man, the Rolling Stones in what, like 2007?
2006, the Rolling Stones.
Man, I mean, I know they still do stuff. They made an album somewhat recently, but this is post Prime by a
Yeah.
lot. I mean,
Then they
jeez.
did Prince. They did Prince, which
That's
I've
cool.
actually never watched that one, but actually just like even just this like set list like looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm sure the
Like
Prince one was good.
he does a version of All Along the Watchtower, which is like a Dylan song that was covered by Hendrix. So that's actually like really awesome. Um, then it was Tom Petty, and then yeah, just Tom Petty, just Bruce Springsteen, just The Who, and then they were like, okay, you know what? It's getting a bit old in here. Black Eyed Peas, and we're gonna
That's
have Usher and Slash show up.
Black Eyed, yeah, for oh my God, for sure. But for Black
Yeah,
Eyed Peas is really funny because that's like what 2010-ish, right? Or something.
2011, 2011. Yeah,
2011. That if there's a halftime show that's like a product of what was popular at the time,
it
that
is
one,
absolutely that one. Yeah.
and maybe the
Oh,
Madonna one because LMFAO's in it.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, like the fact that LMFAO was at Super Bowl performance is so funny. But it, I just remember when they did "Sweet Child of Mine" for some reason and had Fergie sing it. It was like, why? Like, why are we doing that?
Fergie, I don't. I like if there's an artist, like I have a lot of artists I don't get. I just don't get her.
Yeah,
I don't get why she was
yeah, I'm not a big
popular.
Fergie. I'm not a big Fergie guy.
I'm not Ferging it. I like
Yeah,
ASAP
and then
Ferg more than I like Fergie. Right,
yeah,
alhamdulillah,
do
you
it.
know,
Check in with me. Yeah.
I don't
Then
care
they
about,
did.
London
I
Bridge
was
is
gonna
falling down
say.
or whatever. Is that her, Gwen Stefani? I don't even know.
Yeah,
They're the
then they
same
had
person.
Madonna. Then oh, if we were ranking all these though, the Beyonce halftime show, that was a good one.
Beyonce's
She
solo
crushed
one
that
is
one.
good. Bruno
She
Mars'
crushed
solo
that
one's
one.
pretty good too.
Yes, which was the next. That was a really good run right there. Beyonce to Bruno, and that's the Katy Perry one.
Beyonce and Bruno were so good they were like Coldplay. Bring them back in yours.
Yeah, quite literally, because they were doing that was Super Bowl 50 too.
I know
So
that
they
one
were
very
like,
well.
yeah,
I know that one
yeah.
very well.
Oh,
Unfortunately.
you remember, yeah. And after
That one's
that,
funny because
Gaga, and
Coldplay
then
didn't do a bad
Timberlake.
job or anything, but they're like not
No,
the
yeah,
most memorable part of that halftime show.
yeah. It's entirely just the fact that Bruno Mars and Beyonce showed up.
That they do a dance battle sequence. It's very cool.
Yeah, and Beyonce did Formation, which I think was like it just had just come out, which was pretty
Yeah, that we're
crazy.
like, yeah, Lemonade and all that. Is that Lemonade
Yeah,
era? Yeah, yeah. Lemonade
yeah.
had just like come out or was
Dude,
coming out.
if you thought doing Not Like Us during the Super Bowl was mean. She did a song from Lemonade. Like Jay must have been watching that like
That's his own fault.
I know, but he must have been watching that like
Yeah, and then
oh
next year
no.
Jay comes out and does story of OJ at the halftime.
Yeah. OJ be like, I'm not black, I'm OJ.
Hey, Super Bowl arena, you want to know why?
Okay.
You want to know how the Jews have all the credit in America?
What? That line just comes out of nowhere. That's so, OJ is so crazy.
He's something else, man. But with that,
Oh, his lawsuit got dismissed with prejudice.
oh, interesting.
So we're back to being able to like Jay-Z, right? Like,
444. Put your hands together. Praise Jay.
yeah. I'm happy I don't have to throw out my 444 vinyl now.
Don't have to break it open.
Yeah. I mean, in all seriousness, if anyone has been affected by, then we know that there have been people that have been affected by Diddy and people in his circle. Like it's terrible, but
We're moved to find out about
I'm
these atrocities.
yeah, I'm happy to hear Jay-Z may not have been as involved as seems.
At least not involved in that one. We'll see.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
But regardless, a pretty what's the new Bruno song? Pretty fat, juicy. I don't know how the wet plays.
Fat, juicy, and wet. Yeah.
Pretty, at least a fat and juicy episode after being gone for a while. Kendrick halftime show. Drake continuing to crash out. Little Super Bowl, mini Super Bowl halftime show tier list. And of course, the boys just yapping it up like we always do. So, if you liked what you listened to, obviously, continue to listen. Please stick around. We're not going to disappear on you again. And, share it with someone. Share the joy of being a creamer with someone you care about so they can be a creamer too.
If you don't share it with 10 of your friends, bad luck for the next 7 years.
I curse you. I curse you.
The only way that we're going to get big at this point, Vasant, is we essentially make these podcast episodes chain letters. You know?
You send this to 15 people or suffer a malady in the next 10 days.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's good to be back, man. And we're going to be more consistent. Keep an eye out on just like, Instagram, the Half Pod. It's a great way to stay up for updates. As far as like some of the new content stuff we'll be rolling out. Mainly YouTube's where we might be doing some different stuff, but we're on different platforms, not just Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And the audio, I do plan on putting the audio up on YouTube as well. That might take a bit just because getting that rendered and uploaded on my
what's
laptop.
This man here, he revitalized the YouTube channel too. So I'm like, what are you planning there, brother?
We have a vision. The Half and Half Network will be taking over soon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the plan?
We're gonna be going straight to your neural links. You dig?
Absolutely, take that.
But
also,
as always,
I'm gonna say another thing. Having 13 kids with 5 different, because we're speaking about Neuralink, having 13 different children with 5 women is a little weird, dude. Okay, just gonna
I thought
say.
you were about to announce that you're gonna do cinephiles more consistently, but yeah, that works too, I guess.
I just want to throw that out there. People, if you know, you know. That's all.
Aiden will do anything to not commit to doing cinephiles. It's like, let me talk about Elon Musk's weird kids.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't talking about him specifically. I was just saying if you.
I wonder who that was.
That he specifically recently did. You know?
Yeah, Nick Cannon.
Yeah, that's
He's
right. Yeah,
more woman, I think, though.
I think Nick Cannon is like with different women. Right?
He's building a roster. He's building a team.
He wants to field an entire baseball team.
I respect it, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, that wraps us up. And as always, Aiden.
Stay creamy.
Yes, sir. We'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.
Peace out.